take you back to 2005. It's April 2005. I remember getting up early in the morning, pouring a bowl of frosted mini wheats, starting to eat those, and I suddenly realized, today is the day I'm going to make a bad decision. Maybe not only that, today I'm going to make a string of decisions that will dramatically impact my life for weeks, if not months ahead. Lies. How many of us get up in the morning and think, today I'm going to make a bad decision? Today I'm going to, do something really dumb. We don't do that, right? Okay. What happens is without intentionality, we make bad decisions. We don't get up and say, today I'm going to just make a string of really dumb mistakes. But without intentionality of making God-led decisions, we can end up with bad decisions. We're going to look at the story of Moses today. And this is the call of Moses. And quite often we go right to chapters 3 and 4. Or maybe we start with chapter 2, the birth of Moses. It's miraculous, it's neat, it's fun. And then we go to the burning bush. And we skip over the part where Moses runs for his life. We're going to focus on that section, but to get there, we're going to start with Exodus chapter 2. We're going to look at verses 1 through 10. Now, there's going to be a quiz after we read verses 1 through 10, so pay close attention, because there's a lot of this going on there. Got it? Foreshadowing. I saw that eye roll. All right. Foreshadowing. Or there's another term, it's a prolepsis, in which there's historical things going on that are pointing to what's going to happen in its fullness in the future. So Exodus chapter 2, verses 1 through 10, prepare for your quiz. Now a man of the house of Levi married a Levite woman, and she became pregnant and gave birth to a son. When she saw that he was a fine child, she hid him for 3 months. But when she could hide him no longer, she got a papyrus basket for him and coated it with tar and pitch. Then she placed the child in it and put it among the reeds along the bank of the Nile. His sister stood at a distance to see what would happen to him. Then Pharaoh's daughter went down to the Nile to bathe, and her attendants were walking along the riverbank. She saw the basket among the reeds and sent her slave girl to get it. She opened it and saw the baby. He was crying, and she felt sorry for him. "This is one of the Hebrew babies," she said. Then his sister asked Pharaoh's daughter, "Shall I go and get one of the Hebrew women to nurse the baby for you?" "Yes, go," she answered. And the girl went and got the baby's mother. Pharaoh's daughter said to her, "Take this baby and nurse him for me, and I will pay you." So the woman took the baby and nursed him. When the child grew older, she took him to Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. She named him Moses, saying, "I drew him out of the water." Quiz time. Okay. First, this is an important part of the story. Did you get this part? This is what? A pair, right? A pair of Levites. There's a pair of Levites in this story. That was good. A pair of Levites. This is incredibly important. Did you notice Moses' parents' names aren't even given? That's not what this writer is interested in. What he's interested in is these are 2 Levites. Levites are the ones who handle the holy things of God. Moses is going to be the one who brings God's law to the people. It is incredibly important that he's from the right families. And the author makes it clear, a foreshadowing sort of thing. What's important of this story is there's 2 Levites who are the parents, which makes it possible for Moses to bring the law in the future. Next quiz question. In this story, what did the mother think about the child in verse 2? He was a fine child. Think about this. Have you ever known a mother who was holding her newborn child and said, "It's the ugliest baby I've ever seen"? Does that happen very often? I don't hang out with maternity wards, but I'm guessing that's not very often. You know, if doctor hands the child, "Oh, this one's ugly. Give me another one." No, that doesn't happen. Now, a literal reading of this was that the mother saw the child and it was good. In Genesis, what are we told over and over again? What story are we told that it was good and it was good? Creation. In Genesis, we had the creation of our physical world. In Exodus, God is creating his people. And it was good. Moses is the beginning of creating God's people. We're going to change the world. All right, next quiz question. A basket. Moses was a very little baby. See? All right. So there was tar put on it. Now again, think in Genesis. What story was there in which some people hung out in a boat and were saved in the water? Noah. What people will God lead out of Egypt and save by passing through water? Israelites. They'll get up their backs against the Red Sea. Once again, the story is laying out. Great things are coming through Moses. Amazing things are coming through Moses. One more important piece of the story. Did you get this part? The pizza part? This is a delivery box. Get the delivery part? Who delivered Moses? Hey, no head shaking. No head shaking. That was a good one. We need to have cues up on the wall, like laugh now, so people know when to laugh. It's not funny enough to laugh on its own. It's Who delivered Moses? His mother, and then his sister, and then Pharaoh's daughter, the enemy. Think about the twist of the story. The person who saved him, her daddy, is the one who made the death sentence on all the children. The enemy is saving Moses. Not only that, but his older sibling is involved. What a miracle is that? So think about this. The enemy is delivering Moses. Only God's hand can do that. Once again, the story of Moses leads to what the story is going to be, in which only God can save the people in all of these situations. So there's the framework, this amazing story of great things that are going to happen in Moses' life. Now we're going to skip ahead to Hebrews chapter 11. Hebrews chapter 11 gives us a really neat insight into what is happening with Moses' life in between this birth that takes place and the rest of the story. Hebrews chapter 11, verses 23 through 26. Okay. By faith, Moses' parents hid him for 3 months after he was born because they saw he was no ordinary child, and they were not afraid of the king's edict. By faith, Moses, when he had grown up, refused to be known as the son of Pharaoh's daughter. He chose to be mistreated along with the people of God, rather than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a short time. He regarded disgrace for the sake of Christ as of greater value than the treasures of Egypt, because he was looking ahead to his reward. Moses made an incredibly important decision. Moses decided, I'm not Egyptian, I'm Hebrew. Moses decided, I'm not only going to believe that there's a God out there, but God is going to be first in my life and I'm going to follow him. That's an incredibly important decision that's going to impact the rest of his life. Also notice he did this at age 40, which is a very young age, I might add. At 40 years old, he's making this incredibly important decision in his life. I want to pause for a minute and think about your own life. When is a time, maybe a specific time, maybe a season, in which you have moved from thinking about God as some sort of possible reality to God being someone who is very real and someone who you serve in your life? Like God moving from just something that's out there to someone that you know and want to know more. As you think about that, since that time, have you ever made any bad choices? If no one has, the sermon's over. So I'm assuming that I'm not the only one. We make bad choices, bad decisions, even after making incredibly important decisions of following God closely. Let's take a look at Moses' life. What takes place after he has decided that he will reject his Egyptian upbringing, that he's going to be a Hebrew, he's going to follow God? Verse 11. One day, after Moses had grown up, he went out to where his own people were and watched them at their hard labor. He saw an Egyptian beating a Hebrew, one of his own people. Glancing this way and that and seeing no one, he killed the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. The next day he went out and saw two Hebrews fighting. He asked the one in the wrong, "Why are you hitting your fellow Hebrew?" The man said, "Who made you ruler and judge over us? Are you thinking of killing me as you killed the Egyptian?" Then Moses was afraid and thought, "What I did must have become known." When Pharaoh heard of this, he tried to kill Moses, but Moses fled from Pharaoh and went to live in Midian, where he sat down by a well. Think about the twist in this story. So where this starts, Moses is still making great decisions. When Moses steps out in verse 11, he looked and saw the burdens and saw one of his own people being mistreated. Now, if Moses was still in an Egyptian way of thinking, he would have seen the great works being accomplished, the amazing things being done, the luxury and the wealth that they were generating. But Moses stepped out and he saw people in need. He's seeing with God's eyes. That's really good. And then in verse 12, Moses tries to bring deliverance. He struck down the Egyptian. That's what God's going to do with the 10 plagues, right? The Egyptians will be struck down. Moses has a holy passion to do what is right. But there's incongruence here. And I've been thinking about incongruence. Rather sophisticated. So, you know these toys, right? In which you have a piece, it's only going to fit one hole, right? That even though it goes with the toy, you have to put it in the right... I'm seminary educated, that's how okay. The piece, you have to put it in the right hole. Moses has a holy passion, but there's incongruence. He's trying to put his actions through the wrong hole. Notice what Moses does before he strikes down the Egyptian. He looks this way and that. Isn't that an indication of doing the right thing? Make sure nobody's watching, then you know you're doing the right thing. Or afterwards, what did Moses do? He hid him in the sand. That's another good indication that you've done something right. Hide what you've done so nobody knows it. There's incongruence in what he's doing. Now, I presented this as a smug sort of thing, as if this isn't something that I have ever done. You know, I've never looked each way to make sure no one knows what personal sin might lurk in my life. Or I've never tried to cover up something in my life so other people know it. Never. Right? Maybe we have some similarities to Moses. Look at the results of the incongruence. One is a loss of authority. Moses in verses 13 and 14, tries to solve a dispute between two Hebrews, two slaves. And the guy in the wrong says, oh, you're going to try to kill me too? Moses has no authority, even with slaves who are doing something wrong. Moses has lost his authority. Another result is he's lost his identity. Moses has decided, I'm not going to be considered an Egyptian anymore. But then the Hebrews reject him. Who is he now? He's decided he's not an Egyptian. The Hebrews say, you're not really one of us. So he runs off to Midian. Midian brings back all sorts of positive remembrances. This is the place where Joseph was sold into slavery. Well, not the place, but the people were from Midian who bought him into slavery. Not really a positive sort of thing. So Moses runs off to there, and the people there label him as an Egyptian. The exact identity he's trying to run away from. There's a lesson from this incongruence. When you and I have a passion to do something, it doesn't make it the right thing at the right time. When you and I have a passion to do something, it doesn't make it the right thing at the right time. Have you ever said, I just know this is the right thing to do? Or have you ever dropped the big bomb of, this is God's will for my life? Because that silences all other discussion and you can just move on to do what you want to do. There's more to just looking at something as, I passionately want to do this, so it must be right. We learn from Moses' life that there's a lot more. Over the next few weeks, we're going to be looking at how do you make a decision that is God-led rather than just simply passion-led. And there's 4 P's. Permission, preparation, provision, and then passion. I'm going to explain, I'm going to flesh this out with a real-life story. So when we were traveling, we stopped in Cedar City, Utah, and there was this really neat trail that went up on a little mountainside behind where we were. I wanted to run that trail, and I did. It was great fun. I thought I was going to die. My children abandoned me. I was all alone. But I pulled through. So I'll go through the 4 P's with you. I had a passion to do this because it was a neat trail and I wanted to be able to see how to run it. But I was missing a few things. Now, preparation. I was prepared. I had my running socks. I still haven't washed them, so you can enjoy it. My running socks, I was prepared. And I have run a fair amount, but I have not run a lot over an elevation of 6,000 feet when it's over 95 degrees. Maybe I wasn't as prepared as I thought I was. Maybe I should have thought about that a little bit more before I just followed the passion of wanting to run it. There was another piece of provision. On the way to running, some of the kids were going to go birding, and they said, Dad, do you have any water? I said, oh, maybe I should. So I stole some water from them. But it wasn't very much. I just had a little, they only give me a little bit. So my provision, I had not thought through at all. And so my passion for doing this run, once again, didn't take into any account the other P's. Now, another one that I had neglected was getting permission from Cindy. That probably would have corrected a lot of ills here. So I told her I was going to go for a jog. I didn't say I'm going to run up the mountainside in this trail that I can't do really at 95 degrees and all that. I just said I'm going to go for a little jog. And so I avoided getting permission. One other P, when it comes to passion, if I had looked at the trail map and been honest about the trail map, I would have seen the elevation up that it does. And I would have realized, I'm not really passionate about this trail. I'm passionate about running, but not this. Think about Moses' life. He had a passion and a calling to lead God's people. However, who did he ask permission of? He didn't ask permission of the Hebrews. He certainly didn't ask permission of Pharaoh. Do we see him praying and asking permission from God? When it comes to preparation, we know from Acts that he was prepared in all sorts of learning from the Egyptians. Was he prepared to lead the Hebrews yet? Was the timing right to lead? When it comes to provision, did he think at all past that one incident of doing in that Egyptian? Was he thinking, okay, this is a step that leads to the next step that's going to make a lot of sense to lead the people? He didn't think at all about the provision of the next step. And when it comes to passion, was he at all looking for God's leadership? Was he all about just doing it? What we're going to think about over the upcoming weeks about ourselves when we make decisions is how do we use these? When I have a decision to make in life, do I ask permission? Do I truly talk to other people? I'll talk to the people that I know will tell me yes every time, but do I talk to others to get permission, including people who are a covenant community? Do I think about provision? Do I use reason and think, is this a reasonable decision to make? God's given me a brain. Maybe I should think this through. Is there provision to follow through on this decision? When it comes to preparation, can I look at my life and see how the Holy Spirit has prepared me to be able to handle this decision if I make this next step? And when it comes to passion, do I weigh this passion that I feel against Scripture? Because if what I feel like I should be doing is in violation of what Scripture says, it's a wrong passion. My passion needs to be qualified by Scripture. Moses, we're going to see, was called by God in a mighty way. However, unintentionality, when it came to his decision-making, led him to get the timing wrong. For us, I hope that we intentionally make choices in our lives in which we use a process that Moses is going to use in the next few chapters. It took him 40 years to learn this lesson, but we're going to see in another 40 years, when he's a young 80 years old, he's ready to choose wisely.